It's the Jay and Thomas Podcast, an hour of commentary on today's top stories, current events, or just life in general. And here are your hosts, Jay and Thomas Darden.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Jay and Thomas Podcast. This is episode 11. Hope you all liked the Will Smith appreciation episode last time, which we referenced him a ton, and it was, I thought, pretty warranted. So, good stuff there. We're going to start out as we normally do every podcast and ask the man of the hour how he's doing. So, hey, Dad, how are you?
I'm doing very well today. Very well. Good day. Nice weather. Pretty mild. We're just motoring along.
Nice.
Motoring along.
Motoring
Yes,
along
sir.
on a silent electric scooter at about 30 miles an hour, 85-degree weather all the time, sunny, no rain, no snow,
Ocean breeze.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, you are fortunate that your scooter and all of its working parts doesn't get damaged by all of the sand. I thought that might be a thing that would come.
Well, we don't take it on the beach, but my particular model has a chrome railing around it, and almost like bumper guard around the body, the fiberglass body.
Sure.
And we've had them 60 days, maybe 6 weeks.
Right.
And it's already got a few rust pits in it. When I sit it out outside and charge it, it's getting right off the ocean. I mean, we're about 150 yards from the ocean.
Oh yeah.
And so it's getting all that. And so there's some rust pits on there. So a guy was telling me that has one. He said, I went and bought the stuff at the commissario, and it's like a silicone that you wipe on it.
Oh, okay.
Wash it first and then wipe the silicone coating on there.
Sure.
And he said that's supposed to help it. So, because we keep them stored inside of a building.
No,
except
okay.
when they're charging. So
I got you.
there you go.
I'll have to cut in wax on, wax off.
Wax.
But what do I have to watch all the time?
Remember, dear, no question.
Yeah, but
Right. Wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand.
Wax on, wax off. You know.
yeah. They
That'd be
need a
pretty well.
bath.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I have no doubt. Well, if they weren't sandblasted all day, every day until the end of days, then
That's
you'd
it.
be good to go.
That's exactly right.
Well,
exactly right.
that's fair. You did mention a little bit that you might be moving here soon. What sparks the move?
We're going to relocate the studios.
Yeah, there you go.
About 1 kilometer south of where we live now.
Okay.
And there's several reasons.
Sure.
And you say I don't want to air my dirty laundry. Well, that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Is on the front porch. There's these big hooks that the hammocks are hanging up with.
Yeah.
Well, Pat got some rope from the commissario, and she didn't put any permanent, tied one around the hook, about 12 feet over another hook, 12 feet over another hook. And so blankets and sheets and big things, she would hang out there to dry in the sunshine and the heat and stuff. And, they dry in a couple hours because they're blowing and it's warm. And instead of using the dryer, it's a common dryer for the 3 condos that are here.
Yeah.
And it's a community dryer. That's what I should say. And she was trying to just save on the electricity for the compound.
Yeah.
And the lady that we leased from called and said, hey, quit hanging your laundry up out front. And we don't do it when anybody else is around. We do it like Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday when nobody's around.
Yeah.
But so she called and said there's clotheslines in the back to hang them up on.
Right.
And it's like, no, we're not doing that. I said, well, then just let the stuff stay in the dryer till it dries. Run up the electricity bill. It's not your bill. It's a compound bill, for the condo complex. So
they haven't started utilizing solar down near the equator very much, I guess.
Oh no, they don't. They hadn't got that part figured out yet. The place that we're moving to or relocating to doesn't have a hot water tank. And I'm like, cold showers the rest of my life? I don't think so.
Well,
what they do is they sell a heater, an inline heater,
yeah,
for the shower head, and it heats the water I don't know how it works, but it heats the water before it comes out.
Got it.
So that you can have a hot shower. And they're like $18, and you just have somebody install it, and you got hot water for a shower. And I'm like, okay, I'm all about that. So,
Well,
I don't know how it works. When I figure it out, I'll let you know. So,
I was going to say it might be more of a tepid shower than ice cold, because your water's never going to be ice cold. That's just never how it's going to be.
Yeah. Right.
So,
and if it stays in the pipes for very long down here, it's hot when it comes out.
sure.
On a hot day, the pipes are exposed, so the hot water comes out very first thing. I mean, it's really hot. And another thing is the animals, the neighbors, the condo on either side of us. Sometimes the dogs, they don't like the guy that lives on one side. His wife is deathly afraid of dogs. He's okay with them. He doesn't care. But his wife's deathly afraid of the animals, and so she won't come outside. Well, he's one of the original owners of who built the condos. One of the three brothers that built these condos. So, yeah. So one of the guys that we like came and asked us the other day. He said, "Hey, when my uncle comes down here, can you keep the dogs pinned up?" Well, no, I'm not going to keep the dogs in the house for 3 days while your uncle's here, and his wife. So. And he's like, well, happy wife, happy life. Oh, I get that. But so that's the place we're moving to has like a 6-foot brick wall all the way around it. And it's sitting on like an acre of land.
So, well, I think the big thing there is you're alone in that compound. There's no one else with you. Wouldn't matter how big the fence was. It's just you don't have to share walls with anybody or front porches with anybody or anything like that. So
that's exactly right. So that's one of the places, and it's cheaper, significantly cheaper than the place we live now, which is it's not as big, but it's one less bedroom.
Right.
So, but we don't keep anything in the back bedroom either anyway. So
I got you.
It's all good. So.
You need to get that little dog to settle down back there, because I know that's not Rosie or Sean.
No, that's not. It's the yapper funny. that the security guy has here.
Oh, there you go.
That's another thing. What are you guys going to do about him when we leave? What are you going to do about him when the guy that's wife doesn't like dogs or animals? What are you going to do about that little guy? You're going to keep him shut up for 3 days? I don't think so, but it's all good.
I was gonna say
it's all good.
I think they will, because for one, that dog's a lot smaller and it can fit in a lot of other places, and also it doesn't look like Shine, who looks almost like a Rottweiler. Which, if people have fear of animals, it's pit bulls, Rottweilers, things like that do make people nervous, because they're full size and if they want to play, they play rough.
Yeah, she's pretty healthy, so I can see where it's kind of intimidating if people don't know. But, we've learned that when the dog comes up and it's wagging its tail, it's not likely to be that aggressive. So, they just want to play if they're wagging their tail. It's when her tail stops and curls up, like that. And it's like, wait, it's not wagging. So, yeah, so she means business.
I was going to say, so you guys are like the dog whisperers, the Ecuadorian edition there.
That's
it. Caesar Romano or whatever the dude's name is. That's funny.
That's so.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well,
so we're relocating the studio in South America.
There you go. Well, hopefully it's not an every half a year thing, because that might get a little tiring. So you'll have to see how that goes going forward. Because I know one of the reasons that you moved down there, or just especially stopped driving a truck in general, was to stop traveling. Basically, like didn't want to have to pick up all your stuff and move around and yada yada. So that'll be kind of cool to see what the new place is like and all that. So we'll have to play that one by ear, especially when I head down there, and then you're like, oh, we're gonna put you in the hotel across the street because we don't have an extra bedroom, and I'll say, okay, cool, well that'll work. We'll see how that goes.
There you go.
Yeah, we'll be partying across the street, so won't wake anybody up and all that. So
there you go.
Something that you wanted to ask me, and a kind of a prompt here was, why do people laugh when you ask them a question? Well, that right there, I mean, that definitely deserves a little bit of context. So when you say laugh, what questions are you asking? Who are you asking? And there's a myriad of reasons of why somebody is going to begin chuckle when, or chuckle or start laughing hysterically and all that. So can you lay that one down for us?
I'm
if you don't
laughing
mind?
hysterically right now.
I have no doubt.
Well, it all started when I was watching several news feeds, and they were talking about Swallowmy Harris always laughing. She's always cackling when somebody asks her a question.
Okay.
And so I looked into it, and I looked into why people laugh when you ask them a question. And
Sure.
one of the things was they're uncomfortable in public, and it's kind of a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
If you ask them a question and they start laughing before they answer it, then that's one of the things. They're uncomfortable with the question, and they're uncomfortable, and it's kind of a defense mechanism. Like I said, they're uncomfortable in public.
Right.
And the second reason is it's to soothe their anxiety. Okay, you've asked them a question and you've put them on the spot, and they're anxious. Okay, so that's another thing, is to soothe the anxiety. The third thing is it's to buy them time, and they use that time to formulate a response, because obviously they don't know what they're talking about, or they don't know how to ask the question, or they wouldn't need that time to formulate a response or answer. So the fourth thing was they guide the vibe of the question from serious to a less serious situation. So if it's a serious question, then they're trying to make it less serious before they answer. So they're trying to change it from serious to not so much as a serious situation.
Wow.
Another one that I thought was interesting. It's a lame attempt to form a bond with the person asking the question. Now think about that for a minute. You're trying to form a bond with the person that asked the question, but it's a lame ass attempt because you're laughing.
Okay.
So that was the news feed that I watched. They were breaking that down, and they were talking about every time that somebody asks her a question, she starts laughing before she answers it. And she starts cackling, the laugh that she has. And so they were breaking down why, reasons why they think that she laughs before she answers a question. And most, she doesn't know how to answer it. I mean, there's your reasons right there of why, she doesn't just give you an answer, or why anybody, not just her, but why anybody doesn't give you an answer to the question straight up.
Well,
Go ahead.
That's fair. And several of these do make sense, but one of the issues that I'm kind of having is from the angle in which it's being posed, right? Because we're taking this from a political figure, right? That's kind of where this was all broken down from. But we're looking at a lot of these things in a negative context when, if someone's uncomfortable with with a question you ask them, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Them,
right. I understand.
uncomfortably laughing or soothing anxiety is pretty good as well. Now, some people just are anxious, right? They're just anxious to answer questions. They're anxious in certain situations. People being put on the spot is huge. Some people just brick, right? They just and they don't know what's going on. So the fact that this was why do people laugh when you ask the question, that's an interesting take on it, but I see where it's coming from, and I obviously get why you asked the question.
Right.
To that end, I don't find that all of these are necessarily negative. However, discussing them right now is going to kind of lead into well, this is what a certain person does who doesn't seem like they're very good at public speaking or being put on the spot, right? Some people, they answer questions, you could fire anything at them and they're like, yeah, sure, whatever, I don't care. Or they'll just pause, because a pregnant pause is one of the best things you can do in a conversation. Put a point on something, right? Give it emphasis. Give yourself time to think. And it doesn't seem like they are maniacally laughing like the Joker in like Joaquin Phoenix in the latest Joker movie, right? Where they just start laughing uncontrollably.
Can you please stop bothering my kid?
I wasn't bothering him.
Just stop.
Because they don't know what's going on, or they're very uncomfortable. He actually, in that movie, had a disorder where, and it's a real thing that he studied up on and whatnot, where people just start laughing uncontrollably when they get uncomfortable or they're put in tight situations like that. So that's pretty interesting. Buying time in terms of laughter and whatnot, that to me kind of seems counterintuitive, because when I'm laughing, at least from my recollection, when I'm laughing, I'm not thinking about a whole lot, right? So I'm not expelling air, because of course we have to remember what laughing is in general. Normally, it's a it's a fear response or a nervous response to stimulation or to situations and whatnot. So, buying time, that to me, it doesn't seem like it goes hand in hand, because if they're buying time, well, if they're laughing, they're not thinking about anything, unless it is like a mechanism that they have really good control over, and it's like, and it's a ha 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 ha, and it's not real, if that makes sense. Which, I mean, granted, you could say somebody's laugh is or isn't real. That's up to them and up to you, but that is what it is. I do understand that making the vibe from something kind of softens things a little bit. That does make pretty good sense. But maybe that's what they're trying to do, and that to me seems very apparent, right? If someone's trying to laugh something off, it really discredits the person who's trying to laugh it off. If people are intelligent and they know what's going on, like they're paying attention and whatnot, which most people aren't doing, and that's understandable. But right. I get that. And the lame attempt to form a bond, that to me is what would cause me to laugh, because that is too funny. It
also depends on what the question. It depends on what the question is too. I mean, if they ask you, have you stopped beating your wife? Of course, obviously you don't have a wife, but I'm saying, and they ask you the question, have you stopped beating your wife? Well, sure, you're going to laugh because they've got you in a quandary. If you say yes, you were beating her, but you stopped. And if you say no, it's no, I'm still beating her, so
right.
People would laugh at the question like that. But if it's something that you should know the answer to, like, why haven't you been down to the border?
Well, they have been now. They have been. So that's old news.
I haven't been to I haven't been to Europe either. I've never been to Europe anyway. Okay.
I was gonna say, but that's old news. That's a problem now, because if you're just gonna keep rehashing old stuff, well, it's like, well, break down new things.
I'm off of it.
It's like, yeah, but is she? You know what I'm saying? That's
I gotta laugh about it.
Right.
No questions.
So something that
I'm only gonna lie to you if you can't verify it. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Remember, kids, only lie if you can get away with it, right? Or if it benefits you greatly and you can get away with it. That's the big thing.
And you can get away with it. That's right.
Yeah.
That's
right.
That's
unverifiable.
Motto,
Yeah. That's it. That read in between the lines, and like in between the laughter as you're laughing. Make sure you're reading the fine print. So
That's funny.
yeah, that's
Oh my gosh.
that's pretty interesting. One of the things that I was reading up on while I was looking kind of at this topic and kind of what was going on with it is it seemed as though one of the things here is the lame attempt to form a bond. I thought that's very peculiar because I saw the exact opposite at the places I looked, where if I ask you a question and someone laughs, they are laughing because they think that your question is either stupid, irrelevant, childish, something like that, and they just kind of laugh it off when you may actually have some form of valid interest or opinion or curiosity, because obviously not everybody knows everything, right?
Yeah, it's like when my dad used to ask me a question and I'd start laughing. You think that shit's funny?
Yeah, right. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I wouldn't be laughing. Pow! How about that? You think that's funny?
Yay, corporal punishment. Yes, please.
Yeah.
That's it. But that, yeah.
You son of a beep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and I thought that was pretty peculiar because of the angle at which you approach this definitely changes things up, right? Because it could be as though you're casting judgment from one side to the other.
I'm bouncing it off of you. That's what I'm doing. I'm just bouncing it off of you and anybody else that wants to comment on it.
Right.
You know, be sure and hit that comment and the like button and smash that subscribe button.
Yeah, smash the bell.
Don't forget.
Finger the like, do all this silliness.
Finger the like.
Yeah, finger the like.
Yeah.
The appease the YouTube algorithms, appease the YouTube God, you know, and
because they were listening.
They most certainly will be. In the last episode, we had a demonetization flag, and I'll explain this a little bit. This is kind of interesting. We had a demonetization flag. Well, normally if you run something too long or a clip or something is a little bit too long, then it's gonna get you. Well, if you saw in the part of the Hitch clip, right, where it's saying, 90% of what you're saying isn't coming out of your mouth. In the back of that, like the background, is a song. That's what it hung up on, right? That was that. I mean, you could kind of barely hear it in the background. It was just kind of overlaid. And of course, I couldn't take that out because if I took out the song, the to my knowledge, the audio of Will Smith goes out as well. Like it just takes out the whole audio track and replaces it with something else. Which
I've never seen that movie.
It's not bad. It's just Kevin James doing his shtick, and then Will Smith being like, "Hey, I'm Will Smith. I'm the guy who can hook anybody up." But of course, he has his own troubles when he goes out and tries to capture his own love life. So, pretty interesting stuff.
Okay.
So, not bad. Not a bad little movie, but it was something that talking about body language, confidence, stuff like that, tone, that was a big thing. Pretty wild. Now, granted, it would have no place in today's society because one of the things it talks about, like right near the beginning of the movie, or I believe it's near the beginning, I could be wrong, especially from that clip, was the woman, like a woman doesn't wake up, and ladies, comment down below if you think this, or if you think that that's silly. You never wake up not wanting to be swept off your feet, right? So women don't wake up, this is from the movie, they don't wake up with the immediate thought, I don't want to be swept off my feet today. So that was kind of the angle of the movie. And then it also talks about the person who says, the lady in this instance, who says, I'm too focused on my career right now. And Will Smith like looks at the camera and he's like, "Did you believe that?" Because I didn't. Because she's lying. And it gets like a little dark if you take it down a certain path, like in your mind, and then it's like, just try harder, and you're like, all right, we need to back it up because this ain't working out. But that's why I don't think it would be as good nowadays in terms of the angle in which it talks about certain things, and people might say that that's a little sexual assaulty, or a little bit stalker-like. We need to just kind of reel it back in a little bit, because that stuff was silly. But that's what movies were back in the early 2000s and 90s and stuff. So,
speaking of body language, I heard the coolest thing today. Somebody said, "Why can't we have body cams for teachers?"
Because you can't film children.
No, that's my child. That's
yes,
my child in that school.
But
those are my tax dollars that pay for the school. It's my tax dollars that pay your salary. And I bet some parents might be surprised at how little Joey Bag of Donuts acts in school, or little Sally strut along. What's wrong with having cameras in the classroom?
Let me ask you a
There's
question.
There's cameras everywhere. So why can't you have cameras in the classroom?
Okay. Well,
I mean,
we just discussed some things: soothing anxiety, being uncomfortable, etc., etc. If you think a kid, especially kids who are young teenagers or even high school kids, are going to perform in front of a camera, that just adds so many layers of anxiety there that I don't think it's going to do what you want it to do. Especially,
you're going to put it on a policeman.
Yes, they're there to uphold the law. Yes,
so teachers are there to teach.
Right.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. I'll definitely have to throw that in there.
Come on, man.
But I need to minimize this real quick. There we go.
I just thought it was a pretty nifty idea. I thought that's pretty cool.
It's not bad.
Not that starting to get dumb. Not that anything would ever become of it, but it sounded like a good idea.
You put cameras on police officers to uphold them to a very high standard, right? One of the things...
And teachers.
Okay.
You're not going to win this one, dog. I'm telling you, because this is the coolest thing I've heard of in a long, long time. Go ahead and fight your fight.
Well, no. But here's the thing. You're already operating on an assumption that I'm trying to win something. You've already lost, because I'm not trying to win anything. I'm just trying to present information, right?
You man.
I ain't got to win. It don't matter to me, man. I'm out of school. Do whatever the hell you guys want.
I know. Yeah, we're out.
Yeah. Amen to that. But the whole thing of, do you think teachers would want a better salary, better classrooms, more money to be put into the system rather than utilizing their precious budget on a camera that they have to wear forever, I just don't see it.
Right now they're getting putting their money in a legal defense fund.
Who is?
The teachers are. And the teachers union. They're putting their money in a legal defense fund to ward off anybody that gets arrested or anybody that gets in trouble, so they can help any teachers that get in trouble. But, we're not going to go into that political. It was just something I thought I'd throw in between topics, but we could go on all day about cameras in the classrooms. You got cameras everywhere else, cameras in the store, cameras in the car wash, cameras in the bathroom. You got cameras everywhere, and, and there's cameras where people probably don't know there are cameras. So,
there are cameras everywhere all the time.
Put them in the classroom. Sure. Teachers shouldn't have a problem with it at all. They should think it's a bonus.
That's
Because then
fair.
you can see how your children are acting while they're at school.
So
there you go.
do you know what else we can do with that?
What's that?
Okay. The parent who is less than moral can watch your child all day long. So the person who's going to kidnap your child can watch exactly what classes they have all day long. They can watch where they sit. They can plan their every move. So then, when the time is just right, they'll strike. And then they're going to be on fucking Law and Order SVU and say, well, how'd you figure out? How did you know so intricately this person and their day-to-day? Well,
those thoughts never entered my mind.
Well, that's because you're not a terrible person.
I can be.
Well, but that's no, you be careful. So it's like, well, look. So you have, Timmy's dad over there or mom or whomever. You were giving them access, or you're giving hackers or terrorists or whatever. Perfect example. Let's say the guy's going to go shoot up the school, right? Because we all know that's going to happen, but this is America, right? Well, they go in, they figure out the bullies bunch up in this class at this time. Because I've hacked into the school system. I've hacked into the cameras. I know exactly what's going on. I know exactly how they're going to try to bar the door. I can sabotage that, right? There are so many things that the evil that I'm sure many of you out there believe in this world, they will take advantage of everything that you possibly think is good. So just be mindful when that stuff happens. Okay.
You talk about barring the door, and I found when you and I went to that active shooter class together,
yeah,
I found that very interesting that the guy up there was talking about, and we can share this with the public, talking about getting a piece of fire hose from the local fire department, and they chop off a piece on each end of one of the old hoses, and you keep that in the classroom. And they said if you slipped that fire hose down on the door opener, that there's no way that they can get that door open.
Right.
There's no way that a shooter could get that door open if you were to slip that hose down on the part that, I don't know what you call it, the opening part of it, the hinge or the whatever you call the thing up at the top. But if you'd slip it over there, because when you open it, it's got to open like this when you open the door. And they said if you slip that fire hose down on there, they're not getting that.
Wayanger and Thomas say the device should be located next to the door, sort of like in sight, on mind.
All the teacher will have to do from there is slide it over the mechanism that locks the door and then go back to the kids.
So it'll give a little bit, but that hose is strong enough, whereas it prevents it from opening.
What we're hoping is if the locking mechanism on the door gives way, that this hose being used as a secondary lock is buying us time for the officers to get there, the SRO officers or the police department to get there to mitigate the situation.
That door open. They don't care who they are. And I thought that was an interesting thing that we should pass on to school teachers.
Yeah, well.
And I mentioned one lady that worked in the school about bringing a firearm with her. I can't bring a firearm to school. I said, well, you ain't got to tell everybody. Oh, I can't do that. I said, okay, if you're not going to do that, get some wasp spray. Put the wasp spray on your desk and tell them that you're allergic to wasp and you don't want them coming in the window. If they sting you, it could be a bad deal. And keep the wasp spray on there. So if anybody opened the door that you didn't want to open the door, that'll shoot 18 to 20 feet, that wasp spray, and it'll give you time to do whatever you need to do.
Well,
so
it very well could.
A couple of things that I thought were interesting. Yeah.
See, that's...
Just people are scared. They have fear. Oh, wait.
Right, they do have fear. Well, that is a great segue into the kind of our next thing, but just a quick aside, when you said that those kind of thoughts don't enter your mind, well, I know you've had what's called an intrusive thought before, right? Where your mind instantly goes to the most violent thing or worst thing possible. Now, you don't act on it, obviously. That's kind of the point, right? You're kind of stifling a lot of these all day long. But
if I have to admit it.
No, not in the slightest. But the whole point is
Okay.
that when you say you didn't think about it like that, well, that's something that is, it's not that I enjoy that sort of thought process or thinking, but breaking that down is very intriguing to me, right? Where there could be nothing wrong with it. That's your first mistake. You've made one too many assumptions, and now someone's dead, right? Or somebody is X, Y, and Z, or blah, blah, blah. And it comes down to, it's very important when you're thinking about these sorts of things that what can go wrong will go wrong, or anything that can be used for good can almost assuredly be used for evil. So,
Chuck.
Yeah, I mean it's
what
something
a way
else.
To end the segment. I'm scared now.
Right. So
I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, as you should be. So, with this, luckily I didn't ask you a question and you laugh. Right? Then we'd be circling all the way back around. So the next thing here is you it's funny because you use emojis. You use emojis more than I do, and I thought that was humorous. And could you send me the little the Macaulay Culkin? I'll have to throw that in from
I found my toothbrush, so I'll pick one up when I go out today. Other than that, I'm in good shape.
From Home Alone. And fear. What is the meaning of fear, and how has it affected us in the last 20 years? That is incredible, right? You could probably almost do an entire hour on that. But what was your definition of fear?
Okay. Fear alerts us to the presence of danger or the threat of harm, physically or psychologically.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, what I really enjoyed about this, like when I was looking up what is fear, right? Fear is just kind of like you mentioned, the threat of danger. Well, then, of course, I tried to look up, okay, well, that's perfect. Like, now we have another place to go, right? Well, then you look up the word danger. Okay. Well, danger, the possibility of suffering harm or injury. And as you said, mentally and physically. What is incredible about this is it's the possibility, right? Danger is always the precursor. It's never, I'm in danger, I'm hurt, right? It's a possibility, like it's chance, which to me was just incredible because leading up into fear and everything like that. So fear is the threat of danger, right? Well, so fear is the threat of a possibility. You could also have a threat of a possibility that's positive, right? So danger is kind of contextually based, at least it seemed to me, because if you're fearing something that is just a possibility and it hasn't actually happened, what are you scared of? Right? Like, are you afraid of getting hurt? Mentally or physically? You know, what's that fear doing to you and how is it making you live? Because it definitely dissuades people from doing things. But fear in and of itself, like, what are you afraid of? You afraid of dying? Well, one of the best parts about that is you won't be scared anymore, right? Like, you won't even know it. You'll just done. So
I'm not scared of it. That's for sure.
Well, it's always been kind of interesting, and of course, you've brushed past death's door a few times. Knock on proverbial wood here, and you've been pretty fortunate. So it's like like Blue Oyster Cult says, don't fear the Reaper, right?
You know, I don't have a death wish, but I don't fear dying either. But what brought this on was, and I want to show you.
Sure.
You could look in the camera and see my chicken scratching on my piece of paper.
Oh wow!
I've got the list of things, and if you'll bear with me, I'm going to read these to you. Okay.
Sure.
The list of things that they said was going to kill us. Okay. So in 2000, Y2K was going to destroy the world. Okay. 2001, anthrax was going to kill all of us. Okay. 2002, the West Nile virus was going to kill all of us. In 2003, SARS was going to kill all of us. 2005, the bird flu was going to kill all of us. 2006, E. coli was going to kill all of us. 2008, we had the financial collapse that was going to ruin the world and we all would die. Number 2009 was the swine flu was going to kill all of us. You see where I'm going with this? 2012, the Mayan calendar predicts the end of the world. 2013, North Korea was going to start World War III. 2014, the Ebola virus was going to kill us all. In 2015, ISIS was going to kill us all. 2016, the Zika virus was going to kill us all. 2020, the coronavirus was going to kill us all. In 2021, the Delta variant of the coronavirus is going to kill us all. The truth is, fear's going to kill you. It's all, wake up, it's all bullshit. It's right here for the last 20 years. They've been feeding us all this crap for years. And we've been buying it all. Every year. Ooh, somebody's coming to get you. They're coming to get you. We're going to get you. It's all about fear, and they need fear to control everyone. And that's what they've done. And they've really done an Oscar or Emmy-winning performance in 2020. Emmy-winning performance on producing fear to control everyone. I mean, I saw a guy today, he's probably 20 years old, walking in the food court at the mall, 2 masks on and a plastic bubble. And the guy was probably in his 20s. And I'm sitting there with a buddy of mine, and I said, this guy's drank the special Kool-Aid. I mean, I know you always say, if it doesn't bother you, don't worry about it. But he's extra stupid. And they're walking among us. I mean,
they're walking among us.
2 masks. Yeah, 2 masks. Two masks. That's one of your Uncle Bob's favorite sayings. They walk among us.
Yeah, I can see it. I can hear it coming out of his mouth.
You can hear it come out of his mouth.
I can, man. That is fantastic.
They walk among us.
Something, and you're exactly right. But this is
the list. This is the list that somebody has put together.
Sure.
And now they're starting this Delta variant bullshit in 2021. Ooh.
Hey man, does it let me come back home to work? Because Delta me, bro.
I don't know.
I'll take the.
You can use that as an excuse. You could say, "Hey,
yeah, that's it, right?"
I didn't get vaccinated for that, so you got to help a brother out here. I didn't get vaccinated for that variant, so you be careful.
Well, hey, I'll take the Chinese ass swab and everything, man. Go ahead and get it on up in there if I can work from home. It's all good. I'll be like Xi Jinping, as like a. But wow, okie dokie.
Little head pops up.
Yeah.
Woo.
So holy smokes, man. I do.
Yeah. So it's been something all the time. It's something all the time. And you could cross the street and get run over, man. I mean, really? But why are people scared? Why are you scared? Take control of your life and move on. Get your head out of your collective sandbox and get up the road, man. Jeez, with this stuff. It's over. It's gone. It's done. Thank you.
Yeah, but there's always going to be like the next thing. You know, it was.
Oh, yeah, there's a whole list. It shows you the next thing. And the next thing was bullshit. And the next thing was too. And the next thing and the next thing.
Well, here's the deal. To that end, however many people died from complications of the coronavirus. Like I have a coworker whose sister died from complications, right? So you have people
extra heavy flu season blown out of proportion.
YouTube overlords, please do not take this these ramblings of this man. Like, comment, subscribe, smash the bell so you can out ding the craziness coming from the Ecuadorian side of things here.
Yeah, follow me, man. I'm coming in live all the way from South America.
Holy smokes,
all the way
man!
From South America.
Yeah, you want to talk about hot takes? Good Lord! So. I was going to say that they would have this one up on Crowder as one of the people being taken off the air because it's like, yeah, they just got shafted like royally or whatever. But we have to understand this. It does affect people. Okay. Is it something that affects you in a positive way, a negative way? Because, you know, now you're having some people come out of the woodwork and say, some people are saying, actually, that was one of the best things that could have happened to me, right? Like, people work from home year and a half. Like, we got stimmy money. We got to keep the job. We got to work from home. Like, life just got better. And if you were an introvert, you were like, not much has changed. What's different here? So, to that end, we also have to understand this. Okay. It appears, right, that certain things from the right and the left, et cetera, will set people off more than it usually would. Now, you also got to look at it like this. Now, would this have happened this year? Maybe not. You know, like, maybe if it wasn't an election year, things might have not have gone like as wild. Is that something that would have happened? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe under different administration. Maybe, maybe not. Like, there's just not a whole lot we can do. However, we have to understand this. Part of it does come from the media, right? And the reason why I'm saying it, like, it's not necessarily that the media are making these things up, but they have to report on things that will get you to watch, right? Your attention is very important. I was watching Bo Burnham this past month or so, just over and over, and all sorts of different iterations of him and whatnot. And in his latest, or his last to latest, like the precursor to him taking 5 years off, was he says something that was incredible, right? And of course, if you're not paying close attention, you're going to miss it. Because he said, look, I have your attention. It took me 3 years to get 1 hour of your time. Your attention is very important because it can only be focused on one thing, right? So it took him 3 years, a full set, an hour and change to do a show, and then he got your attention for 1 hour. So we have to look at the media that you consume every day, because that's what we do, right? We consume it. It's almost like brain food to a degree. It doesn't nourish us to an extent. Sometimes it does if it's good news, or you hear like a cute story or something like that. But media and content in general, we consume it all the time like insatiable, like slugs, right? Because we're just gorging ourselves on information because it's out there. You can find anything. One of the problems with this whole fear scenario is people are going to find things that spark their interest, or the media is set up in such a way, or content creators in general, not just media, content creators in general. One of the things like we haven't started to do is come up with titles and screenshots, like the screens that they see when they click on the video, like thumbnails. We haven't made ones that are like silly, that follow the algorithms, that people really enjoy, and the titles aren't provocative or anything like that. They're just there. Well, people want to be like, you have to catch their eye. You have to get their attention, and media does this all the time. So look at it like this. Do you want in the news, if you're going to actually watch it, do you want the show that's very even keel, not a whole lot of new information, a lot of the stuff doesn't pertain to you, or do you want the one that's a roller coaster, right, where 3 times a week you're going to die? Which one are you going to watch? You're going to watch the one that's going to say you're going to die because it titillates you. It captures your attention. Like, does that make sense?
Well, yeah. If you watch the news,
or
I don't. We don't have the news down here is in Spanish, brother. I couldn't understand the thing they were saying anyway. So
right,
yeah.
But look at it like this: Dan Bongino, Ben Shapiro, all of these air quotes right-wing folk that you do listen to. Would you listen to them if they were boring? No, you wouldn't.
Who said I listened to those guys?
Oops, you've been outed, right? So,
oh no. Oh, gosh.
You know, but one of the things here is you wouldn't watch and you wouldn't find it so provocative and engaging if it wasn't like an us versus them kind of scenario. Like, ooh, you're on my team and screw those guys over there. And then it's a scenario where the guys over there are quite pleasant, but everything's taken out of context and it's very provocative and in your face. And it's like, they're trying to ruin the country. Well, who? Them. Who is that? People not like us exactly. No. And it's like, come on, man. Because.
Come on, man.
But what does that do? That strikes fear, right? Fear is what they're trying to do all the time, because they're trying to either take something from you.
That's how they control you.
That's it.
Sure.
That's it. They get you.
Right.
And whatever side it is you're on.
They're coming to get you.
Yeah.
They're coming to get you.
They're coming.
They're coming to get you.
But
coming to get you.
It's like, hey, no matter what side you're on, left, right, middle, whomever, you got to make it provocative. You got to make it seem scary, because you need to capture people's attention. And just like you said, you need to control them. Well, if you control what they consume, you can control the message, and then you can control their thought process. Right? You're going to watch something that's going to be more captivating than you are. Like, I think it was Ron Burgundy in Anchorman, where it was him and Veronica Corningstone, where they have like a goofy little segment on the news where it's like a squirrel who is in a little boat or pulled behind a little boat and it jet skis or it water skis, right? So that's a fun little feel-good story, but that doesn't capture your attention, right? That's not going to keep you coming back for more and more and more. It's going to be, how is my world threatened today? Right? Because at that point,
my battery running down on my scooter is my only threat now.
I believe that is far from your only threat, my friend. Far from it. But, I mean, like, look at it, because they can say your world's being threatened. Well, how? Well, tune in to find out.
Right.
Okay, well, if you watch that over and over and over, or I'd say a few times, and they're pulling your leg, you're going to stop tuning in. But fear engages you.
But every year, something new. Every year, they're coming up with some BS to try to put the fear in people and control them. Every year, it's something. and people need to come to.
Well, so
Okay.
here's the deal. There is something new, right? Y2K, viruses, meltdowns, lockdowns, breakdowns, the economy collapsing, etc. It has to be something new all the time, because if it's not something new, it's not threatening. Right?
You're right.
Because you can't say,
you're right.
It's Y2K. Well, now it's Y2M. It's like, nobody cares. Because it was a hoax or whatever, and it doesn't matter, right? Or it's Y2Z, and it's like, yep.
Yeah, but when do you realize it's a hoax?
Are things hoaxes?
Realize that the world. When do you realize it's a hoax? When do you realize that in 2000 that Y2K, the world didn't end with Y2K, and everybody said it would?
Well, it took
so when does it become a hoax? And you go, well, that shit didn't happen. So we know they're full of baloney. Okay, well, anthrax is going to kill us all. Well, it didn't. So when do you realize? How far along do you go before you realize the West Nile virus didn't kill us? Mosquitoes. Remember when the mosquitoes had West Nile and.
No, I'm a homebody. I stay inside. Bugs don't mess with me, man. Get that out of here.
So, when do you realize that it's a hoax? When are they going to realize that everything is a hoax?
Hold up. Let's be very, very careful in terms of saying, when are you sheeple going to realize that everything out there is a hoax? It's like, whoa. Raining on.
Okay.
Well, that's very important, right? Because
I'm sorry.
Mew, I would say this to folks.
There go your ratings.
Yeah. It is important to educate yourself as best you can all the time. Be engaging, but be optimistic, but be cautious, right?
Right.
Because if you go around thinking everything's a hoax, well, something probably very trivial is going to get you. Like, it's just going to ruin you, whether or not be your heart, your mind, your soul, whatever. But you can't go around being a conspiracy theorist and, kind of in that mindset, thinking that everything's going to kill you, right? They're just like everything in life. There's a happy medium, most likely somewhere, and you just got to find it. Because I'm telling you, I would have people fight you in real life if you told them it was a heavy flu season that was bust out of proportion because their loved ones died. So it's like, hey man, that ain't how that's going to work. And they would just, they would straight up take you out. Like, be like, oh, okay, cool. And then just have at you, man, because it affects everyone differently, and that's totally fine. We were very fortunate to not have to interact with it very much, but I'm telling you, dude, it ain't nothing to play with. And so anytime it was another virus, it was a computer thing, it was the housing bubble or whatever, we're lucky we didn't get screwed over by that, right? Or we didn't, get caught up in this, that, and the other. Like, life seems
I'm not
very
scared.
Obviously, says the retiree in Ecuador. My point being is life is very different for different people, right? Because they're in very different situations. And so people having that fear, like fear is good in terms of keeping you safe from things that might bring you harm. However, harkening back to what are you afraid of? Well, that's kind of the thing, right? Like you choose what that is. And that's very important because if you do fear dying, well, then you're obviously going to act very differently than to someone who doesn't fear being taken out by something random,
Right.
It's wild. And I know we just kind of just went kind of ham today, but it's important. And what has fear done to us? It's warped us. I will say that. It has definitely warped us to a degree, but it's also made it to where some of us got smarter, some of us got dumber, but then some of us got more dead, right? Because if you,
I think it's handcuffed us. I think it's handcuffed us. I really do. A lot of people. It's handcuffed a lot of people. A lot of people didn't fall for it from the beginning, and then there were rules or laws implemented that we had to follow.
yeah,
And I just think it's handcuffed a lot of people. I really do. And I don't know if the handcuffs will ever come off.
well, some people don't want them to come off, right? Because you have some people who want things
Oh,
to
you're right.
be ran by certain groups or people or whatever, or maybe you're into that sort of thing. Who knows? We don't judge here.
I think it's interesting that the extra government benefits are starting to fall off in some states. That extra $300 a week that they're giving everybody,
Sure.
and also the moratorium on house notes and rent and evictions and things like that. That moratorium is coming to an end, and now everybody's freaking the hell out because, oh wait, I got paid unemployment and I got an extra $300 unemployment and I didn't have to pay my rent. You couldn't kick me out. But now all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, they're taking my extra $300 away and you're going to kick me out.
Yeah.
So they're
for
all,
sure.
A lot of people are boo-hooing about that stuff.
Well,
you brought it on yourself.
Yes, they most certainly did. One thing that I thought was pretty interesting today, I drove by a McDonald's for lunch and I was just rolling right along. And it said, we pay daily, because they know how much of a revolving door that's going to be, like that job is, that they're like, we're going to straight up pay you every day, because we like it's probably easier for payroll for them to say, okay, we don't have to, like, if you leave, we don't have to worry about like contacting you for your last check or anything like that. That was nuts, man.
Sure. You're paid up to date every day.
Right. I mean, that was something else, which, it is what it is, and more power to them. But that also means that student loans are coming back online, which that was a very gracious thing. But it's like, hey, we get to start driving the Phantom Mercedes again. So that'll be very exciting. And having interest be charged and all that stuff. So what can you do? But I thought that was a fun little thing to end on.
And it's funny when a little thing that you said a little earlier about being retired and being down here in South America.
Sure.
I posted a thing on Facebook a couple of days ago, and it said, I don't have it in front of me, but it said something to the effect of, when people say it must be nice, I say, yeah, it is, because I worked my ass off to get where I am and to have the things I have. And the choices that you've made have led to where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's nice. It's nice. But I don't hang my head in shame. I deserve every minute of it. So.
And no one is saying you don't deserve it.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it. It must be nice. Yeah, okay.
Well, it must be, because as we talked about before, the coffers are emptying out. So now I'm paying for your Social Security, not the government, who is sitting on its laurels and whatnot.
I appreciate it.
Well,
I appreciate it.
So here's the deal, right? This kind of harkens back, and this could be a whole nother segment, is just because you have it that way or your parents had it that way, does the next person deserve to have it just as rough or just as good? Right. Well, don't know, because it's just wild thoughts for sure, because it can be different and it can be never know what's going to happen. So
that's right. That's exactly right.
But good stuff. Anything else you want to touch on before we peace out?
I'm good. I am very good. I enjoyed talking with you.
Yes, sir. It's always a pleasure. And remember, folks, you're afraid of what you choose to be afraid of. So thank y'all so much for watching, and we'll see y'all next time.
See ya.